Welcome all to the Montana Chamber of Commerce Capital Connection. I'm Sheridan Hoyer. I'm the Government Relations Specialist here at the Montana Chamber, and Todd is busy texting folks, I know, but I think he's got a conference today, and Charles is busy working on some bills that'll be up either on the floor or in committee here soon. So we'll talk, we had a pretty substantive update between Todd and I last week on taxes, if you did not catch that. Had a few technical difficulties trying to upload it as I was using airport Wi-Fi, but we did get it up there eventually if you want to recap that. Not a heck of a lot has changed since last week when we talked. Still kind of not sure what's happening. We talked with the senator yesterday and they mentioned that there's a plan B and a plan C, and this is kind of what they're working with. And I said, well, what's the plan A? And they said, we're not sure yet. So I do think that there's a lot of political appetite to do something on property taxes, right? Like that's the gist we're hearing from legislators is that they cannot leave without doing something on property taxes. However, nobody's quite sure what that vehicle is. House Bill 231 is the governor's preferred version. It is the property tax task force bill. It is Representative Lou Jones has been carrying it and explaining it. But the consensus is kind of that it makes our very complicated tax structure a lot more complicated. It bifurcates both residential and commercial taxes. That's been one of our concerns from the commercial side as the Chamber of Commerce. The other concern is that it's not creating any new taxes, so it's just shifting taxes to other classes of property. I've learned way more about classes of property than I ever thought I would in the last few months, but House Bill 231 was tabled last week in Senate taxation. Senate Bill 90, I believe, is still alive, but the kind of consensus is that there's not a lot of legs. It's got a really slim title, so that means it's got a pretty specific thing you can do. And so trying to put money into that from other spots doesn't really seem like the right solution right now. And so we'll keep you posted. In talking with some folks, we heard that maybe middle to end of next week, we should have some more clarity. So really hoping to have some more answers for you next week on that, but doing our best to make sure that it's not shifted onto a lot of our other big members. It's been an interesting spot as the Chamber of Commerce because some of our members would benefit from some of the solutions proposed, while other of our members would really see a lot higher tax bills based on what kind of industry they're in. It is our stance at the Montana Chamber of Commerce that we're going to probably have to do something about our tax structure because what we've got right now is not working the way it is. And so one of the plan C's was maybe some sort of rebate just for the short term as they try to figure it out in the interim. And we'll see what happens there. Moving on from taxes, I can do what I can, but there's a couple other little bills in there, trying to be more general without any specific bill numbers here, but happy to answer anything on specific bill numbers at the end. On TIFs, that has been one of our priorities coming in, making sure that they were still an option as a tool for development. However, we are staying out of Senate Bill 2 that was heard this morning in House tax. There's some concerns and some amendments from the local government side, but we're really focusing on it from the development side, and it seems that things are working out there and we're just kind of staying out of it. There's a lot of politics at play at this point in the session. Deals being cut. We have about less than a month left. Technical, the last day they could sign and die would be May 2nd, I think. But there's a high chance that they get out of here before then. So the other TIF bills that worked to, so that's House Bill 19, Senate Bills 1, and Senate Bill 2, have all been passed into law for transparency on the TIF front. So we're happy with that. A lot less ire than perhaps in previous years around the TIF debate. On childcare, I did take off for a workforce policy conference last week in DC, but we did successfully transmit Senate Bill 321 through the Senate, so it's now on the House side, and I'm sure we'll see a couple more changes as we move forward, but because it's got that pretty big fiscal note, but that's the child care tax credit package. So it has a child tax credit, so you can use that money for whatever it is you'd like, and you're still eligible for it, even if you aren't paying child care expenses. Then there's a child care worker tax credit, as well as a business supported dependent care credit. And so if you are helping your employees in any way with child care, then you would get up to $5,000 credit for expenses that you paid to your employees to assist with childcare, or any other sort of dependent care that includes care for elderly parents, older children that need more care, etc. That has made it into the House, and we'll keep an eye on it there. We're pretty hopeful, but we'll see what we can do. And we are looking at it. We hear a lot that well, businesses should be a part of the solution, and that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to, from the chamber perspective at least, bring businesses into what the solution might be on childcare. And I know a lot of local chambers are working with that, but there's some work with our partners over at 0 to 5 as far as their grant program, their employer grant program, and hopefully by 2027 we can come back and say, this is what this money did with help from the state. This is what it could do longer term on a wider scale. And with that, we did receive a grant from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Those are the national level partners we work with to put together whatever we want on some childcare things. So if you're interested, June 5th here in Helena, we'll have an employer childcare conference. So what you can do as an employer, if you know of anyone, we'll have marketing materials out here soon on that. Kind of really in legislative mode, but wanted to plug that as well. We have a couple other bills happening. Senate Bill 565 is the surviving trust right now for just childcare as a trust fund. House Bill 924 is Representative Lou Jones's large trust bill that we haven't paid too much attention to. It's got a little bit of traction last week, and I think it is still alive, but I haven't really dug into that too much. There is a childcare element there. On tort reform, that's been Charles' cup of tea, right? And so we've got House Bill 803, which is our asbestos claims transparency, so that to reduce overnaming in asbestos claims, as well as House Bill 794 with public nuisance reform. Should have executive action this week to see where those are at. And then some efforts on House Bill 301 and House Bill 302 to keep those alive, keep them moving forward on some. I don't remember 302 here off the top of my head. 301 is our real property statute of limitations. We've taken a look at a couple different times. On workers' comp, things are winding down there. We have some really good partners with the Self-Insureds Association as well as the Montana State Fund. If you have questions about the specific details on workers' comp, the chamber has taken on Senate Bill 561, which would reform the way the Public Service Commission is elected. We are of the opinion that it's just a name ID sort of thing for a very technical position, and having a couple of them elected, as well as, so the current bill, if you take a look at it, has got 2 folks, I think, elected based on the current congressional districts, and then language to say if we lose or add a congressional seat, whatever that looks like. And then others appointed by the governor. There's some politics associated with that, right? But as we go forward in our energy system, I think we're gonna have to take a hard look at the way energy operates and is regulated. And so having some technical experts on that side who are appointed rather than solely elected, not to say that we haven't had some good luck with some of our elected folks, but overall could really have some help with some technical expertise on that panel at the Public Service Commission. From there, we have been engaged a little bit on some digital laws, some sort of restrictions on tech companies and manufacturers for things that sound really good to protect kids online, but the way that the bills are written, they would really be onerous and aren't actually getting to the root of the problem. It's putting extra restrictions and making it harder for folks like you and I to use the internet too. Like one of them this afternoon has got one about restricting the age of kids on the internet, which like sounds great, but if you and I have to upload our ID, or how else are they going to verify my age to use a certain site? Just looking at some of the nitty-gritty details of that, even though the title might sound great. And so working with the sponsors on those bills to make sure that we're doing exactly what they intend to do without additional onerous burdens on businesses. And then our MEPA package, the Montana Environmental Policy Act, is still moving through. House Bill 270, 291, and I gotta find what that last one is. House Bill 285 are all moving through, and then Senate Bill 221, that's the one Charles is working on right now in his office. And I think that is the largest bits of it. There's all sorts of politics happening up here in the legislature, but I will wrap it up here and open up for questions.